are you guys doing tonight? So I'm gonna be, oh yeah, I guess before I start, if you like my videos, I'd very much appreciate it if you left me a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel. It would help me out with the whole YouTube algorithm. This video is going to be like a reading posts from Reddit type of video, which is why I have my phone, obviously. I know it's a little bit different than what I usually do, but I do really enjoy these kinds of like Reddit posts and stuff like that. I usually look at them on Instagram, though not on YouTube, but I just thought that this would be a nice little thing for me to do. So this is probably going to be a mix of like different kinds of posts, like some Am I the Asshole ones and some OffMyChest type ones, because this is, I'm just looking at one, like a best of Reddit updates page, so they're a little bit of both. Some of these titles are weird. As some of you guys might know, I went to South Korea and Japan recently. I just got back a couple weeks ago, and I made a video, like a souvenir haul type of video, where I like talked about the trip and obviously like showed off all the souvenirs that I got. So if you're interested in something like that, I'd very much appreciate it if you check that out, because usually when I upload a video that isn't true crime, it doesn't really do that well for some reason. I don't really know why, it's like a weird pattern. But so that's probably the video before this one. So if you're interested in that kind of video, please check it out. I'll have like a card up here, or up here, I forget what side it's on. Anyway, this is from True OffMyChest. My married sister and engaged best friend are having an affair, and I'm stuck in the middle. Throwaway account just to be safe. Names are changed, but ages are the same. I am a 26 male, and my older sister Julie is 28 female. Julie is married to Tanner, 29 male, and they have 2 kids that are 6 years old and 5 months old. I've been best friends with Kyle, 26 male, since we were in diapers. Kyle is engaged to Kathy, 28 female, and have a wedding date set in November. Kathy and Julie went to high school together and have been close friends for years. Kyle and I both work at a gym that Tanner owns. We all live in a town with less than 2,000 people that live here. 2 weeks ago, I was out with Tanner getting lunch before heading back to work, when Tanner started to swear while looking at his phone. He showed me the phone while looking on his baby camera app. Tanner saw Julie and Kyle kissing and getting intimate. Tanner started yelling at me, asking if I knew about it, where I was. In shock, and told him no. Tanner started taking screenshots of the images and said he was going home for the day. That night he ended up confronting his wife, my sister Julie. She admitted to having an affair with Kyle, my best friend, for months. Kathy was out of town that night, but Tanner called her to tell her what was going on. Kathy came back the next day and immediately called off the wedding and kicked Kyle out of the house. Tanner took the same route and also asked Julie to leave the house so he could think over how to go about separating while also keeping the children in mind. A few days later, Julie and Kyle decided to move out of our town and do a town 20 minutes away and rent an apartment together. 2 days ago, I helped to move them in, and I'm getting a lot of heat from Tanner and Kathy. Kyle is my best friend and Julie is my sister, and I know what they did was wrong, but I also know that they don't have a lot of support at the moment, and they are both family to me. This takes us to today. Tanner is now telling me I am not allowed to see my niece and nephew since I decided, quote, cheaters are more important than him. I also lost my job today, where Tanner was my boss. I'm stuck in the middle where my best friend and sister were the ones who had the affair, but Kathy has become like family as well, and Tanner and my niece and nephew. I'm stuck in the middle of the family drama, as I am the single one out of our now broken friend group of 5. Edit, for clarification on the moving process, I was helping my sister move out of the house she had with Tanner and move into her new place, and found out while helping her unload that Kyle was moving in with her pregnant with mine and my husband's, Harry, 31, first child. During this pregnancy, I've been very exhausted every day and would usually come home from work and go to bed an hour later. Then I'd wake up at midnight and reheat what Harry had made us for dinner. For context, I've been part of a huge work project that's been going on for months, and I've been extremely overworked. On top of this, my husband doesn't have a job at the moment and isn't looking for one unless I remind him. I've been working overtime to get us as much money as I can before maternity leave. Our anniversary was on the 6th of August, and I'd asked him if we could have a romantic dinner at home, and then snuggle up to watch TV under a warm blanket. I thought it was a wonderful idea since I was too tired to go out, and because I knew that Harry was doing most, if not all, of the household chores. However, he seemed a little annoyed when he agreed, but I thought nothing of it. The next morning, Harry seemed quite cold toward me and barely looked me in the eyes. Once I got home from work, he wasn't there, but that was normal since he could have been out with friends or at an interview, and so I went to sleep. I woke up at 11 that night to see that I was still alone in the house, so I checked my phone. I had about 8 missed calls from Harry and a long text. I'm summarizing, but the text read, quote, I understand how tired you are because of this pregnancy and you having to work extra hours most days, but I'm over being ignored every day and having a 5-minute conversation with you every so often. You expect me to do all the housework and plan our boring anniversary alone. I'm really annoyed, so I'm staying at a friend's tonight. Text me when you see this. Of course, I called him and texted him about being sorry and wanted to talk, but I never got an answer. In the morning, I called my boss about having a day off and spent most of it waiting for Harry and planning my apology. However, when he came home, he silently handed me a rose and a card saying that he loves me, but needs a few days away from me to figure out what he's going to say/do. Then, those days became a week. This part happened on the 13th, 8 days later. I messaged him every day, and he would constantly say that he needed one more day, or just another night at his friend's to figure this all out. But on the 13th, I decided to go to the friend's home he was staying at to confront him. So I drove over, nearly 30 minutes away, and banged on the door so hard that I could hear it echo from inside. By this point, I'd realized that I should have put more effort into our relationship, but he also should have talked to me about this instead of running away. Harry's friend came to the door and was confused but pleased to see me. He seemed a little on edge as I talked to him, and he had to break the silence every so often with comments about my pregnancy and how he couldn't wait to meet the baby. Finally, we stopped talking and I practically demanded to see Harry, saying that I wanted to apologize but also explain how childish he was being by hiding from me. The thing that I found absolutely hilarious, but actually not at all, was that his friend said that Harry wasn't there and had left for Ireland on the 9th. Ireland. To say I was absolutely beyond furious and extremely confused would be such an understatement. His friend invited me in and sat me down to talk. Turns out that Harry had told his friend of our problems and had come up with the solution of going on a holiday as a couple to sort everything out and, quote, learn to love each other again, in Harry's words. So, of course, his friend thought that it was a lovely idea and helped him to book the flight on the evening of the 5th, the first time he had stayed at his friend's house. Since it was a last-minute booking, Harry's friend had stayed up with him for quite a while before they found a flight who was taking a few more passengers due to canceled tickets. His friend then explained how he'd been confused when I arrived at the door, but didn't want to say anything about the holiday in case it had ended early due to us arguing. Harry's return ticket is booked for the 20th of August. I am just so angry and quite heartbroken, to be completely honest. I messaged him the moment his friend had finished talking, and Harry only responded an hour ago with nothing more than a had to figure things out, sorry. So now I'm home alone again and trying to figure out what I'm going to do/say when he gets home. Anyway, thanks for reading about how my life is going. Side note, I'm from the UK, so Ireland isn't as far as people think it is since I'm not American, but it is still so far. Other side note, a question that kept repeating is, where did he get the money from without you noticing? So I'll leave my explanation from the comments here. He has a bank account with his money from when he worked as a teenager and a little into his 20s before we met, and a few years ago we agreed to not touch that money and add to it every so often. It was a backup savings account, so I'm assuming that he took the money from there since it wasn't from the joint account. I've had time to think a little. Here's another note 6 hours later. I'll update. It's the 17th now. I've had a longer think. I'm not deciding anything until our talk, but I definitely won't be staying in my home with him after this. I can't trust him not to run away again. I'll talk more about this on my actual update, but I've gained some self-respect and realized he's being an asshole. I talked to my mom, and she's happy for me to move in with her on the 21st, and I'm free to stay for as long as I need to. So I'm going to post an update just to clear the air when I can, hopefully the day or day after Harry is home, the 20th or 21st, then delete this holiday or two later, or I'll forget to. Okay, so on to the update. This was one day ago. I want to start this out by saying that a lot of questions have been answered since Harry came home yesterday evening, the main one being that he did use the second ticket, but for his sister. For the last few days, Harry's friend has been living with me and helping me through this. One way was that he scheduled a couple as an individual counselor for Harry and I. I have also been calling my mom every day since the 13th, and with the one counseling session, Harry's friend and my mom all giving me the same advice, I scheduled an early maternity leave with a slight bonus to each paycheck because of all my overtime. It was a typo. And unpaid help. I officially leave work in 4 days. Back to yesterday. Harry's friend went to pick Harry up and sent me photos of who he was with as reassurance that it was his sister Tiff, not her real name. When they arrived, I'd prepared dinner and cleaned the downstairs of our home so that we could have a civilized conversation without hunger or distractions to stop us. Harry looked extremely tired, and he seemed to be on the verge of crying the moment I opened the door to them all. I was incredibly patient for the sole reason of being able to get through this discussion in one piece, and so when Harry wouldn't speak, I let Tiff explain why she had gone with him. Tiff is a lovely lady who helped me through the first few months before my pregnancy. However, Harry didn't stay in close contact with her, and I lost touch when the work project started. Because of this, she had no clue about anything going on until Harry called her and said that he had a spare ticket to Ireland. At first, she was reluctant since she knew that I was pregnant, and so she tried to ask why he would leave, and if I was with someone who could care for me. Eventually, Harry snapped and told her the real reason of why he was going away, and so she joined him to make sure that he knew what was wrong, but also to help him through all the emotions that he was feeling. She was the reason that Harry came back to me. If she hadn't have gone with him, then Harry admitted that he might have moved to central London, or a small village in the countryside to hide from this. It took everything in me not to cry when she admitted that, and I could clearly see the shame on Harry's face. Good. I'm not going to recite everything word for word, and so I'll quickly clear up some things. 1. Harry did use the backup savings account like I thought to pay for the tickets. 2. The reason that Harry's friend didn't see who the other ticket was for was because once they had found the tickets, Harry's friend went to bed. 3. Tiff was by Harry's side the entire holiday in Ireland, and confirmed without a doubt that this wasn't to find a fling. They spent most of the days in the cheapest hotel room possible in silence before Harry started talking about everything. 4. When we met and married, Harry was a loving, hard-working, job-having man whose only dream was to have a wonderful family, and then retire to one of those cute stone villages in the south of England. Oh, I was like, where's the thing that I was reading? I forgot that I was using my phone. After an hour, Harry finally spoke up. Tiff and Harry's friend went to the living room, but I never realized how strange it would feel to be with Harry again. He confessed that he'd stopped loving me a month into my pregnancy. It wasn't to do with the fact that I was sick all the time, dirty as a mole, or wouldn't stop talking about the baby. He just didn't have a reason. Since he couldn't think of why he stopped loving me, he assumed that the love would come back in no time, that maybe it was some delusion caused by the stress of a baby on the way. Over time, that love didn't come back, and he started feeling incredibly guilty and alone in it all, which is when he got fired from his job. He told me it was because his work performance was belittled by new management, but it was really because he was too trapped in his feelings to think of anything but how much he still didn't love me. Damn. Then, he never tried to get a job was sitting at home without me, since I had to work more, was much better than sitting at work and possibly getting fired again. He came to love how he had alone time until the moment that he felt alone. That was when he refused to work just so he wouldn't have to see me. He wanted to sit and wait and see how long it would be before I came to him. The trip was to test the waters. It was to see if life would be better without me. He still hasn't decided. In his whole explanation, he kept emphasizing how he didn't love me and said it like I was a child and needed to hear something 1,000 times just to understand it. He never apologized. In a rough way, I was shocked, distraught. If you have a word to describe that awful emotion, then I felt it. I cried, I shouted, I cried again, and we sat in silence until I could talk. Then I told him how I could never trust him again. How could I possibly trust him not to walk out on me or the baby? How could I trust him to tell me these things or explain his emotions or to see the story from both sides? How could I possibly work myself dry again for an unloving husband? And so I made the decision for him. We would go to couples counseling, not to be a better couple, but just to understand each other and learn to communicate properly while together and to other people. No matter what, our lives would always involve each other because of the marriage and baby, so we need to be able to talk. I've moved into my mom's house and I'm free to stay for as long as I need to. My mom is helping me to make the spare room into a nursery and is being the most amazing, supportive, incredible mom anyone could be. Tiff and I are going to stay in closer contact, and Harry's ex-friend said that he can be the appointment driver, and it's going to be my second emergency contact. As for when I'm in labor, my mom will be with me, and Tiff and Harry's ex-friend will be waiting to meet the baby and to stop Harry from even seeing the delivery room. Finally, I made it clear to Harry that we will separate for now, but will divorce or remain separated after the baby is born. I will make sure that he is not mentioned on my emergency contacts. He can't be trusted to show up or even be where he says he is. I'm not going to update this anymore since I have things to do and a baby to prepare for. Thank you for sticking around and reading this all. I'll respond to whatever comments I see/want to, but those are all I'll say after this. What a guy. Oh, so they posted an update sort of about how the husband's friend became ex-friend. I didn't really catch that, honestly, but yeah, I think they did write that, so. In short, Harry lied to his friend, and then the friend learned that Harry had told me. The friend doesn't want to be Harry's friend anymore. I mean, yeah, why would you still want to be friends with someone like that? Let's see, I'm just looking to see if there are any other details. Okay, next post. Ooh, this one's gonna be spicy, probably. This is from Relationship Advice. I, 30 male, regret telling my girlfriend, 26 female, all my pet peeves toward her in our relationship. My girlfriend and I have been dating for 8 months now. She's great and a wonderful person. It's just some things she does pisses me off. Today, my bottled up emotions made her cry while she was on the phone with me. She ended the call by saying she had to do something, but I knew deep down I hurt her feelings. Once I start ranting about something, I just can't stop. Seriously. Just understand this is my first serious relationship. Here's what I told her. 1. I hate how you sleep till noon on a Saturday. I'm not a morning person, but 10 a.m. is the latest. If I'm gonna do something, I'd rather do it in the morning. So we have all day doing whatever. 2. Your child was hungry and I decided to try to wake you up, but no, you couldn't be bothered. You kept sleeping on a Saturday, so I gave her cereal. You didn't even get up and make breakfast for me and your child. 3. I'm tired of our boring routine. I want a sex-filled weekend getaway without your child there. You know, last week, we had sex twice. We used to do it 6 or 7 times a week, but you stopped. After I have my fill, then we can start having family vacations. Ew. 3. You need a better job. I'm so hard on you because I care. Bruh, if you have to say that to someone who actually actually says that and thinks they mean it. I want to make you a better person. She went really quiet and asked me, do you think I'm not a good person? I tried to re-explain my sentence, but I heard her crying instead of listening to her. I kept going, for you make excuses. It was in all caps. You always have your child around and you don't work with your family to coordinate anything. You keep saying, my family is too busy on weekends. I hear excuses. Why don't you ask them or ask the child's dad side for help? The child doesn't know her dad. She's not close to her family. His family. It says he family. I know I hurt her really bad. I tried to make it up by telling her our sex-filled weekend getaway we can go anywhere that is in a 100-mile radius. Wow, so generous. She's just not talking to me. What should I do to make it up to her? I care about her, I do, but I just get so frustrated with her actions. And the guy responded to a comment saying, well, the comment asked if he planned to say all the things together in that way, and he commented, no, I didn't. I was just in the moment when I was angry at the world. I genuinely did not mean to say any of this to her. Bruh, I hope they break up. Honestly, free that chick from that guy, because he is stupid. Okay, this one has an update. So this one is confronted by his wife at work in the subreddit, The Other Woman. Today's been the worst day of my life, and I'm desperate for someone who's not gonna judge me and make me feel even worse. This is Reddit you're talking about. Okay, what is MM? Well, whatever. MM's wife confronted me at her job, like, so unprofessional. She found out about us 2 weeks ago, but didn't know who I was. She finally figured it out somehow and came to talk at work. I tried to avoid her and said this is not the time, and she says it shouldn't have been the time for you to fuck my husband. And she just got more upset and called me everything you can think of in front of everyone. We work in a hospital, so obviously there are people around. She didn't yell, but everyone could still hear her. MM was there and was trying to keep things calm, but he ended up following her out, and they had a blow up in the parking lot. I asked to leave early and have been sitting in my car just crying. MM did reach out and say that he's sorry and he will come over later to talk, and he wasn't able to leave work, so he's still up there. I have no idea what's going to happen. We all work in the same hospital, but luckily 3 different positions with 3 different bosses. It's terrifying for me, and I don't want to bump into her or see her at all, and I can't quit my job. I'm so embarrassed and just downright humiliated. Everyone was staring, and I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna be able to go back to work tomorrow. I just have no idea what to do. Should I go to her HR or mine? Just leave it alone. I honestly don't know what to do, and I'm terrified of all this. How can I face all these people? Alright, so here's the update. So MM and I have both been asked to resign. Oof. I went to the meeting the next day, and at first they asked me to tell them what happened, so I did. Then all the questions changed to the affair, and they started asking if it started at work, and if we ever met up at work, and things like that, so I already kind of knew where it was heading. MM told me that his wife said she was going to give them all the information that we had about the affair, the messages and stuff that she took pictures of. Today when I got in, they called me back into the office, and they had 3 people in there, so I knew I was getting fired. They had the policy that I signed out on the desk and said that basically my conduct is inappropriate and that they do not encourage workplace courtships, and I'm basically being asked to put in my resignation because it is against the policy not to let them know about dating a coworker. So basically if I resign, then I can leave to find a job and they can be a limited reference. If I don't resign, then they fire me outright either way. I'm honestly relieved to be gone. Working the day after was hard, and I could tell people were gossiping about us and the situation. I wouldn't have had the strength to leave on my own, so I'm okay with it, honestly. I already started applying for another job. MM is confusing me, though. His wife has served him divorce papers, and he had a breakdown last night. He says that he didn't think she would leave him without trying to work on things first. That he is surprised she wants to throw it all away like that so quickly. His kids do not want to talk to him right now, and his family is in an uproar. We had a fight too, because why are you telling me this? Like, how do you think it makes me feel that you're crying to me about your wife leaving you? Before the fight, I asked him if we will continue to see each other, and he said yes. So why do you want her to forgive you if you don't want to end things with me? Like, she's not going to let him have both, and he didn't have anything to say. Okay, this one. I wanted to find one that wasn't relationship related, since all the other ones were. So this one's an Am I the Asshole one, and it's basically, am I the asshole for refusing to change out of my uniform before visiting my sister in the psychiatric wing of the hospital? My 32 male younger sister, 27 female, has, unfortunately, recently been suffering from very poor mental health. She suffers from schizophrenia, and her delusions and her tether with reality have gotten bad enough that she's recently been involuntarily committed to a psychiatric ward of a hospital in a city near where I work. The visiting hours where she's staying are very limited. I work in law enforcement, and a few days ago, after my shift, the hours lined up very well, and I decided to go visit her. When I arrived, the receptionist asked me if I was able to go home and change first. I asked her why, and she said, some of our patients have had run-ins with cops, and they may find your presence triggering. I told her, no, that by the time I was able to get home and change, I wouldn't have been able to make it back in time for visiting hours. She asked me if I could at least take off my button-up shirt and leave it at the desk, and I told her that I could, but I was wearing a t-shirt underneath with the sheriff's star and my name, and so it wouldn't make much difference. She reiterated that some of the patients would feel uncomfortable with me there, and I just said that I wasn't there for them, that I would leave them alone and just wanted to see my sister, who I knew would be fine with seeing me in my uniform. She tried to deny me entrance, but I insisted that I wanted to see my sister. She ended up getting a doctor and security involved, but after some back and forth, I was allowed entrance and got to see my sister. We had a good visit. She had been taking her meds and is her normal, wonderful self again. On my way out, I wished the receptionist a good night, but she just gave me a dirty look in response. I don't think I was treated fairly, that I had as much right to see my family member as anyone else, but maybe I should have changed first. A lot of the comments that are included with this one said that he's the asshole. Okay, here's one. My 47 female daughter, 23 female, destroyed the room our family was to move into. It has destroyed our relationship. My sister lost her job and couldn't afford to pay rent, so I offered her and her kids to stay at our house. My daughter from the start hated this, as we only live in a 2-bedroom home, so she had to sleep on the couch. Why does she have to sleep on the couch? I told my daughter it'll only be for a few weeks, however it has turned into 3 months, as it always does. I still support my sister, as she had a job offer recently but had no way to get to her job. I tried to convince my daughter to trade in her 2-seater to get a bigger car to help my sister and her kids. Bruh. However, she flat out refused, even after I offered to buy back her car once my sister moved out. After this argument, I was sick of my daughter not offering any help, so I told her to take everything out of her room, as my sister and her kids needed it more. She asked me what I meant by everything. I told her everything she owned. This was my mistake, as like her father, she would do anything out of spite. Yeah, sure. I was at work a few days ago and got a text from my sister asking if my daughter was renovating her room, since men in high-vis vests were in the house. I was confused at this, and when I came home, her entire room was empty. She ripped out all the furniture, the light fixtures, and even tore down her ensuite bathroom. I was furious at this, as I obviously expected her to only take out her belongings, not to gut the entire room. I started screaming at her about how my sister and her kids have no place to sleep anymore. She tried to act innocent and just kept repeating that I told her to remove anything she owned. She left after that, taking her car with her, leaving all of us with no transportation. She hasn't talked to me since and ignores all calls from her family. I just want to talk it out with her and get her to believe how inappropriate her actions were. Sure. So the person commented, as a response to someone else's question, I do care about my daughter's feelings, it's just that I can't get her to understand how her aunt and nephews also need help. She told me she ripped out the light fixtures as she had paid for them. Her room lights were broken for a while. I didn't see the need to fix them, as she had a lamp in her room. I offered to buy back her car in the heat of the moment. Honestly, I would have no way to afford it. My daughter has spent years changing this car and adding all sorts of things to it. Even when she first bought it, I scolded her for spending that much on a simple two-seater. Bruh. Someone asked, was she paying you rent? To which the person replied, she mainly paid for regular bills until I had to work part-time. Then she started to cover some of the rent. This person also commented again, she has helped greatly with the family in the past. She pays for the majority of payments as I have to work part-time. She doesn't want to help my sister and her nephews, though. I don't know how to pursue this legally as destruction of property. She did pay for everything she destroyed. When she started working, she renovated most of our apartment, including her bedroom. She splurged for her ensuite for more privacy. And so someone commented, damn, Obi, you got people here straight up forgetting that this isn't Am I the asshole, because, yeah, you're the asshole here. You, who can barely afford the house's expenses on your own, unilaterally decided to move in 3 additional people and kicked out your daughter, who was paying the bills of the house, from her room that she paid for in rent and in improvements, and tried to strong-arm her into giving up her vehicle to be the unpaid chauffeur for her aunt and cousins. You tried to use your daughter and she had enough. You made decisions that would affect her financially without her input nor her agreement. Her actions, while eye-popping in audacity, were pretty reasonable for someone who's done being used to unwillingly pay for 3 additional people when she's already paying for her mother. The inappropriate individual here is you for steamrolling your adult, bill-paying, rent-paying tenant daughter. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she's overreacting for banning my boyfriend from the Easter dinner she's going to host? I, 23 male, am dating my boyfriend, 19 male, for a year, and he struggles a bit in social settings and can come off as rude sometimes. My sister, 27 female, has had a cat ever since she moved out. Our parents didn't allow pets, who has now unfortunately passed away. My sister came to visit me a couple of days ago and kept talking about how much she's grieving her cat, and even now she's still crying at nights over it. My boyfriend overheard and told her, quote, isn't it kind of embarrassing for an adult to cry over a cat? Just get another one. Seriously. My sister didn't take it well, imagine that, and started berating him and raising her voice at him. He also struggles with people yelling because of his abusive dad, and at some point called him soulless, to which my boyfriend replied that he's at least not a dumb woman like her. Yeah, I'm sure that really helped things. I tried to calm things down as much as I could, but the damage was already done and my sister left in tears. I tried to lecture my boyfriend about what he said, but he didn't seem like he was listening to me, so I just gave up. I thought we'd smooth things over later once my sister calms down, but I just found that she banned my boyfriend from the upcoming Easter party she's gonna host, and said that if I try to bring him regardless, she'll cut me off from her life too. I said that she's overreacting and she knows my boyfriend is a bit standoffish. Is that really what we're gonna call it? But it doesn't mean any harm, sure. And I could make him apologize for what he said to her, but she said she's had enough of that jerk insulting her and everyone from our family, and she knows he never means any of his half-assed apologies and only tells them for my sake. She told me that I can spend time with my family or keep being that asshole's personal public defender, and then hung up, which I think was uncalled for. My boyfriend does sometimes say things that can come across as rude, but he doesn't mean them, and my family was being understanding, but it seems like now that went out the window now with my sister. I know I defend my boyfriend a lot, but I feel nobody understands him like I do, though I might have come across as an enabler of his bad behavior to a couple of people. So this person responded to a question. Of course he has good qualities, he just has a hard time showing them to other people. He's very caring and doting to me when we're in our private space. Struggling in social settings is his biggest flaw. I don't think it's much of a surprise to say that this guy got judged as the asshole. Okay, this one sounds weird. Am I the asshole for calling her psychotic over KFC? It's my stepson Christopher's 11th 6 of his friends, so my wife spent over $100 on this food. Well, when I wasn't looking, my dog got into the food and managed to wolf at least half of it down. I was in panic because of the chicken bones, but my wife was absolutely furious and told me to, quote, get my fucking mutt out of her house. She had to call a day in advance to get this much food, and now her son's party was ruined. As well as her being out money because of my dog. I completely ignored her, honestly, and just rushed my dog to the vet to be seen. When I was there, she sent me this text, quote, do not even dare bring that fucking animal back into my house. I never wanted that dog here, and you forced me to be in an environment where I'm now terrorized daily by your unruly, untrained effing mutt. Your failure to train that effing animal has left this family miserable. You try bringing that dog back here, and I will proceed to file divorce papers. I will be taking back the money you now owe me from your share of our combined finances. My only response was telling her she's being psychotic over KFC, and she had better not touch my money because I'm not paying for that. She never responded. However, my buddy is saying I'm definitely the asshole because my wife has been vocal since day one that she doesn't want the dog in her house and has been asking me to rehome the dog since I got her. Am I the asshole? My dog is an ESA, emotional service animal, I guess, and she's fine, by the way. But my wife thinks my excuse of her being an ESA, quote, doesn't mean shit to her because she's convinced I didn't say I needed one until well after she said she didn't want a dog here. And it's sad, the wife came before the dog, been married 4 years and got the dog a year ago. So he was judged as being the asshole. And in the comments, he admitted basically that, 1, the wife asked him to watch the food specifically because the dog has issues getting into food. 2, the wife was attacked by a dog and has scars on her face as a child and has adamantly refused to get a dog. OB ignored her and got the dog and said it was needed as an emotional service animal. OB got the dog as revenge since he's had to compromise since moving in with her and her son and feels she should have compromised on the dog. OB feels he deserves to get what he wants because he has acknowledged her son exists and isn't cruel to him. OB doesn't owe for the food because it's not his kid, not his problem. Direct quote from OB, because I don't owe her anything. I stepped in as a father role when I didn't have to and made compromises. I pay my share here. I do my part here. I'm not paying for KFC that she never should have gotten in the first place, at least not for 7 children, because it's not my problem that she decided to spend that much money to begin with. And in addition, if that's not crazy enough, he also says that she should be over her trauma because women are scientifically proven to handle trauma better. But for his depression, since he's a man, he needs an emotional service animal. He also added, okay, I guess someone said this, I don't know, but anyway, let's not forget he admits the kid hates the dog as well. So with a 2-to-1 vote of no dogs, he decided he was more important and brought a dog into her house that she owns. A real gem. Quote, I've never been a cheater and never will be. Would you have preferred I cheated versus done something that I felt I needed? Like get a damn dog to have the love and support I needed at the time when I was being neglected by my wife. So now it's the wife's fault. Someone else said, OB is the literal worst in every possible way, and he also contributes nothing toward their house. Makes it clear he only covers his portion of the usage of electricity and water. Bruh, really. So it's karmically fitting that he's going to lose his free housing for being such a raging asshole. Yeah, pretty much. Let's see, here's a slightly different one. Am I the asshole for calling my sister a pick-me over her wedding dress choice? I, 23 female, have a sister, 27 female, who's getting what she's doing, but our mom will always be the type to avoid drama as much as possible, even between us. Am I the asshole? That was certainly something. Okay, this one might be crazy. Struggling to stay faithful and remain attracted to my 34 male wife, 28 female, after we experienced a violent attack together. Not sure what to do. I can't talk to anyone about this for obvious reasons. I even tried speaking to a therapist and they made me feel so low I haven't gone back since. My wife and I have been together for 6 years, married for 3. We currently have a bundle of joy on the way and she's about 5 months along. My wife was always on the fence about kids, but I was adamant about wanting them, and now that it's becoming so real, I'm not sure anymore. I think it's too late for that. I feel like I've just been on autopilot, and after spending this whole week buying baby stuff, I need to figure it out. Last year, my wife and I were at the park relaxing like we do almost every weekend, and someone yelled at us for speaking in my native language, which is Korean. My wife is trying to learn too because she's not Korean or Asian at all, but wants to only speak Korean at home to make sure our family is fully bilingual and they don't lose their culture. We were practicing out loud and sharing a snack, and this guy just walks up to us out of nowhere with wild, racist BS. He kicked our food and there was some arguing, and while I was calling the police with my back turned, he tried to hit me with a pretty large rock. Bruh. My wife jumped in between and ended up taking the full force of the hit, which literally busted her forehead open and knocked her out cold for almost a minute. I rushed my wife to the hospital and the guy ran off and was eventually caught by police a few weeks later. My wife needed 14 stitches right across her face and had 2 black eyes and blood in them. Her face was swollen beyond recognition for a few days too, and when she fell, she messed up an old knee injury, so when she got out of the hospital the next day, half her face was covered in bandages and she was limping. But she was still cracking jokes in the ER. What a lady. After the bandages and stitches came out, she was told she would need to wait at least a year before having her scar surgically fixed, or whatever treatments. But now that the year is almost past, I've started hinting at her scheduling appointments and such. This entire time I've been struggling with remaining attracted to her despite it, but didn't tell her since I don't want to be cruel. Why she has a scar on her forehead and this guy suddenly gets limp dick syndrome? Stupid. She's now saying she doesn't think she wants to get anything done because she wants to save the money for the baby. I've offered to pay for half of it, and she still hasn't really looked into having it done. I've also pushed back her meeting my parents again because of this. They live outside the country, hence why they haven't met yet, and bringing her around my friends since it happened. Bruh, she has a scar on her forehead. What is the big deal? Another part of me is also just sort of mad she even did it. I feel like half a man now, and I've had to delete myself off dating apps before making a mistake, and been channeling it all at the gym, but every time I look at her, I'm reminded of all those feelings. She hasn't changed a bit besides the scar. She's obviously handled it way better than I did, and somehow it's making me love her less. This, plus the pregnancy, I don't even know what to do. I thought about asking for a hall pass, bruh. But I know without a doubt she will leave me. No shit. I thought about taking care of my needs on the side so I can be the man she needs me to be, but I know she will eventually find out and she will hate me and make my life hell, or leave me a single father and I will never hear from her again. It's called cheating, my dude. I just wish it had never happened, but I really need some other's perspective or opinion on this. So someone said, you need to seek counseling. Maybe the first try wasn't the best, or depending on what they said, the problem is still with you. The worst thing you could ever possibly do right now is go behind your wife's back. And the guy replied, he basically told me that other guys would be thankful to have a wife that would do that, and to man up and get over it. Not in those exact words, but yeah. The whole therapy thing just isn't for me, I don't think. I really tried going in open-minded and receptive, but it's just too weird for me. Talking to someone is too weird. Isn't that what he's doing on Reddit? Am I the asshole for wanting to be paid for babysitting my own daughter? My 39 male wife, 34 female, and I live in a suburban house with our daughter, 10 female, Emily. Our neighbor next door, 48 male, Walter, is a single father with 2 daughters, 14 female and 12 female. We have been living here for a little more than 2 years. really likes watching scary movies, but I have never enjoyed them. I get too scared and end up having a bad time, so I prefer to avoid them. Her friends sometimes go with her to the more popular ones, but she also likes older, indies, and foreign horror movies. She has always had a hard time finding people that have this niche interest. Horror movies are a niche interest. And that is why it was such a big deal when we met Walter and found out he also shares this tendency. They very quickly started to make plans to watch movies together. I was invited to be a part of this, but refused. I prefer to just stay at home babysitting Emily and Walter's daughter while they're in their cinephile reunions. It's a weird way to put it. Sometimes they go to movie theaters, but other times they just stay at Walter's place watching stuff at his home cinema. They usually have to go to another town in order to catch a specific function of some weird movie, so it is normal for them to come back very late. They eventually started doing stuff outside of watching movies, like going out for dinner. Walter invited all of us, including the kids, to go with him to a restaurant that a friend of his owned, but I said no because it was too expensive. I don't like that kind of place because I feel they're a waste of money and didn't think the kids would enjoy it either. I insisted on staying with the kids and let the two of them go be themselves. This has become a regular thing, and it is in a way a good deal for me because Walter pays for my wife's dinner, and she can't no longer complain about me not taking her to fancy restaurants. Well, you're not taking her. As both their movie and dinner nights had become so common, I have grown a little tired of the burden of constantly babysitting the girls. I talked to my wife and Walter about it, and he explained that he usually does not like leaving his daughters with babysitters. He says he is really comfortable knowing that they're being watched by an experienced father like me, instead of some teenage girl. He nevertheless agreed that it was too much of a load for me and offered to start paying me a standard babysitter fee each time he goes out with my wife. I thought that was a fair approach to the issue, but my wife was fully against it. She says I should not be paid for babysitting my own daughter, nor the daughters of a close friend of our family like Walter. We've been arguing about this, but she insists on this notion, and it not open to change. She even gets mad every time I talk to her about this. Walter promised me that he will convince her, but he does not seem to have been able to do so either. Am I the asshole? Alright, next one. Am I the asshole for being annoyed at my wife's new healthy lifestyle? Yes. As a disclaimer, my wife and I have been together 13 years and are in our 30s. No kids, moderately healthy lifestyle, but we used to indulge in alcohol and fast food a lot. So within the past 5 months or so, my wife has suddenly started worrying about her health and cleaning up our lifestyles. She makes us smoothies or overnight oats every morning, plans healthy lunches and dinners, and sets up our vitamin intake every week. She also schedules multiple doctor's appointments for the both of us to get full physicals, dental work, dermatologist appointments, etc. I'm going to be honest, it's getting on my nerves solely because I get tired of eating overnight oats or drinking smoothies. I get tired of taking vitamins. I don't like going to the doctor. We do get a cheat day on Fridays, so that's nice, but I miss eating food that I love. She picks great and almost gourmet healthy food to make for dinner, but A few days ago she made me a green smoothie for breakfast, and I told her I didn't like it, and if she could make something else. She got irritated and said she wakes up at 5 a.m. to make us our breakfast and lunches, and if I wanted something different, I could make it myself. I mean, yeah, obviously. This became a fight where she said she manages the entire house and she feels unappreciated. Now she's not making me any breakfast, and when I ask, she keeps saying I can do it myself and that I can start managing my own health. Reddit, am I the asshole here? I mean, it sounds like that's what he wants, right? To not eat the healthy stuff or drink the smoothies. He added, I probably should have put this in the post, but she runs all the healthy meals by me, and I agree to them before picking the week's menu, so I guess I can't be disingenuous and say she's forcing me to eat these meals. I mean, you made it out to sound that way. Okay, this is probably going to be the last one. Am I the asshole for impersonating my sister during a traffic ticket and getting a felony? I was driving and unfortunately speeding when I zoomed past a cop who came out of nowhere, and of course he hit his lights to signal me to pull over. I knew I was in hot water because I sadly get pulled over for speeding often. Sounds like it. I don't know what it is, but once I have the music on in the top which often turns into Need for Speed Fast and Furious Edition, and I ignore traffic obligations and speed limits. Bruh, come on. Most of the time I make it without getting pulled over, but when a cop stopped me, I panicked because I knew I had several warrants for previous violations I had not taken care of. Oh, come on. So when he came to the window and asked for my insurance and license, I lied and said I left my purse at home, and verbally gave him my sister's name and date of birth as my identity, because we looked just alike and I knew once he ran her name, it would come back clean and I would be free to go. Yeah, sure. If I would have given him my real information, it was a huge chance I would have been taken to jail and car impounded, and I was on my way to school for finals and just couldn't risk it. So long story short, I gave him my sister's information and he wrote out a few tickets and I was free to go. Well, fast forward a few months later, my sister is notified somehow that she has outstanding warrants, and she is upset, saying she doesn't understand how or when. I completely forgot I used her name, so I didn't think anything of it when she was venting, until she called my mom from the police precinct and said she went to appeal the citations, and they showed her a body cam photo and it was me. Well, she decided to file charges against me. Says that like they're shocked. I apologized and told her I would pay off the traffic tickets, and explained, even though I was completely wrong, the reasoning behind my actions and how it was the end of the semester and final testing. I apologized, and I know it was a stupid mistake, but she still gave them my information and pointed me out on a statement as the person impersonating her and defrauding the officer during the traffic stop. Well, now I have a court date, 2 felonies for identity theft and fraud. I know I was in the wrong, but my sister did not have to press charges and ruin my life before it has even begun. I'm the first person in my family to get into college, and this will ruin everything. 2 felonies. I feel like she took the situation too far, even though she has good reason to be upset, but wow. Now my mom and dad and brother are not speaking to her unless she drops the charges. I am the youngest and she the oldest, and sometimes feel she has to be stern or correct me because she feels I get spoiled or special treatment, but these are serious crimes that will be on my record and not equivalent to what I deserve. Am I the asshole or my sister? Edit, this is crazy. Unpaid traffic tickets versus 2 felonies. Once I pay, the violations go away, but 2 serious felonies forever. How am I the asshole? The crime does not fit the punishments. BFFR. You're the asshole. Play stupid games, win stupid felonies. Honestly. Maybe I'll do one more. Okay. Am I the asshole for telling my fiancé that his daughter is manipulating him? My fiancé is a single dad to Summer, 15. Summer has an autoimmune disease and her mom isn't in the picture. Her dad spoils her rotten because of this. If dinner's already done but Summer wants something else, he orders it for her because, quote, she gets cravings. She doesn't do any chores around the house, and I'm not allowed to ask her for help with anything. If she's being a brat, he excuses it because, quote, her medicines cause mood swings, and she can demand all of his attention whenever she wants. Summer goes to one of those year-round schools. So instead of a 3-month summer break, they get like a month in the summer, and they split the other 2 months up throughout the rest of the year. Because of this, she has a 4-week winter break. Summer was supposed to spend the first week of winter break on vacation with her friend and her mom. It was okay at first. I enjoyed spending time with my fiancé without her interrupting us every 10 minutes, but she still called when she woke up, before she went to bed, and every few hours in between. She constantly complained that she missed him. This is the first time she's been away from him since her mom left. On day 4, we got a call from her friend's mom. Summer wasn't feeling well and wanted to go home. I answered the phone the first time and asked the mom if she had a fever, was throwing up, or was actually sick. The mom said no fever or vomiting, but she's tired and says she wants to go home. I told her to tell Summer to stick it out and call us if she actually gets sick. Summer decided to call her dad, say she didn't feel good, and then I said she couldn't come home. He didn't even give me a chance to explain myself before kicking me out of the house and starting the 4-hour drive to the friend's cabin. When they got home, he told me he needs to rethink our relationship. I told him Summer is manipulating him now like she always does, and listed examples of her using her illness to get what she wants with her dad. He told me not to contact him for the next few weeks while he thinks about if he really wants to marry me, and hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the asshole for saying Summer is manipulative? friend while she was sleeping. A few days ago, I, 26 male, was hanging out with my longtime friend Hannah, 27 female, at my apartment. Late into the night, we were sitting on my couch together watching a movie, and eventually Hannah fell asleep. Earlier during our hangout, she had taken off her hoodie and stripped down to a low-cut razorback tank top and her running shorts. Hannah is super cute, and I've always had a crush on her ever since we were attending university together, so I just couldn't help myself. I pulled down Hannah's neckline and took pictures of her bra and bare torso. She soon woke up, and when she realized what I was doing, she screamed and threw a pillow at me, and stormed out of my apartment. It's been a few days now, and she still hasn't come back to pick up her phone and hoodie. I already know that I am the butt face, but to be honest, I've had much worse done to me during my frat years. Exactly how much of a butt face am I? Bruh, is that really a justification? Obviously you got crucified. Damn. Okay, I don't want to end on that note, so I'm going to read one more. Am I the asshole for being late to my own birthday party? I know I was wrong, but do I deserve the treatment I'm getting? Yesterday was my birthday, and my best friends planned a party for me. All I knew was that we were meeting at our local dive bar, and I ended up being about 1.5 hours late. I was finally on my way and got this text. Caitlin, we love you, but we really don't like you right now, and it's going to be a long time before we want to see you. We put a lot kid effort into this, and you showed us you don't give a single F about our time, our effort, and our shared story. Rob has the cake that Elise baked for you behind the bar if you care enough to stop and get it, but we are leaving and very upset with you. Please give us some space for a while. I tried to call the girl that sent the text, and I assumed she blocked me. I called another friend, and while she talked, she was very rude and said all of our friend group was really tired of me being late all the time, and being late to my own birthday party is a level of rudeness and arrogance that they aren't willing to put up with anymore. I said this sounded like they were breaking up with me, and she said that would be a good analogy and to please give her some space. I'm brokenhearted is an understatement. We've been best friends since freshman year in college, and being late is kind of who I am. Please. And I didn't know it bothered them so much. Am I the asshole for being late to my birthday party? So someone judged them the asshole because from the text it seems like you're always late. You have to value people's time more. 5 to 10 minutes late is fine, but I would still expect a text saying you will be late, but 1.5 hours. Did you text them at all that you would be late? And the person replied, no, I didn't. I was just too preoccupied finishing what I was doing. So someone asked why they were late. And the person replied, just kind of a normal day. I was late to work, so I had to stay late to make up for it, and then I wanted to go home and shower and do my hair and makeup, and I just lost track of time. And the person judged their thing to say that they are the asshole, and that they didn't warn them that they would be late, and it seems like they're chronically late without regard for their friends' feelings. Someone asked if they had ADHD, and the person replied, I'm a girl, so I don't think it's possible, but I'm not an expert. Okay. Honestly, I don't blame the friends because I hate it when people are late. Okay, I'm gonna do one more. Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend he's selfish for buying a $450 bottle of cologne? I, 24 female, have been dating Jack, 29 male, for 6 months. We get along great, and I love almost everything about him except for his selfishness. In our times together, I've never seen him give anything to any cause, even though he makes good money. We've been to the grocery stores together many times, and when the cashiers ask if he wants to donate, he always said no. One time we got into an argument because the cashier asked if he wanted to donate $1 to a children's hospital, and he said no. Who doesn't donate to the children's hospital? Whenever we stop at a red light, he never gives anything to the people at the corner asking for money. Never, not once. Recently, a friend of mine got pregnant and her boyfriend bailed. Her parents said she's old enough to figure things out for herself, so they're not helping her. She's 25, but they're still assholes for that. Anyway, I threw her a baby shower because I know she'll need things as a single mother. Jack came and brought literally the cheapest thing on the registry, a bag of diapers. I was disappointed in him, as I previously told him it'd be nice if he got her the Bugaboo stroller or the Collect car seat, something she really needs. Although it smelled fantastic, I was speechless when I saw the invoice. He paid $450 for a bottle of cologne when all he bought for my friend was a bag of diapers. I saw it red and went off on him. I know I'm the better person and right, but my sister is telling me I was being too harsh because he can spend his money any way he wants to. I told her he can do better. Am I the asshole? And the judge said, yeah, she's the asshole. I mean, I don't know, the thing about the friend kind of sucks, but like, the poster could have bought her any either of those things. I didn't see her doing that. And also, like, yeah, basically, the majority of the people in the comments that are shown here said that it's his money and he should spend it how he wants, which is true, obviously. So she's the asshole for trying to control how he spends his own money. She does come off as pretty judgmental, honestly. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the future if you want me to do more ones like this. I was thinking about doing like the no sleep one, though honestly if I do that I probably won't get